Alright, and here on our news it says Clarity Act update for XRP holders. These Democratic senators blunt take on negotiations. So the question is, could Washington's political gridlock sink the Clarity Act for XRP? Now, imagine holding an asset that is completely ready to break out, but its ultimate catalyst is trapped inside a political tug-of-war on Capitol Hill. That is precisely where XRP holders find themselves right now. We are seeing a massive shift in tone coming directly out of the Senate Finance Committee. A key Democratic lawmaker just voiced intense frustration over how digital asset negotiations are unfolding behind closed doors. This entire development caught widespread attention across the community after ex-user here BankXRP brought the senator's remarks straight to the spotlight. The question every single XRP holder must ask right now is simple. Can Capitol Hill reach a compromise before the clock runs out, or will regulatory uncertainty continue to chain digital assets down to the remainder of the year? We are going to unpack every angle of this legislative impasse, break down the numbers holding back the vote, and look at what this standoff means for our portfolio. So let's get right into the facts, and let's start with our very first question about why is Senator Mark Warner tired of being in crypto hell? Alright, during a recent Senate Finance Committee hearing for Treasury nominee Francis Brooke, Virginia Senator Mark Warner did not mince words. He openly admitted that he is tired of being in crypto hell. Now, let's get something crystal clear. Warner isn't an anti-crypto crusader trying to ban the industry out of existence. He explicitly stated that he wants America to lead the global stage in digital assets. His frustration stems entirely from the exhausting, endless political maneuvering surrounding the Clarity Act. He wants the bill passed, but he insists on passing it under the right conditions. Now, here's my opinion. Hearing a senior lawmaker describe the legislative process as crypto hell is both refreshing and deeply concerning. It tells me that responsible lawmakers recognize the absolute urgency of giving assets like XRP a clear statutory framework, yet they feel completely handcuffed by partisan infighting. When a pro-innovation moderate like Warner signals exhaustion, it highlights the sheer friction inside Washington. For digital assets, regulatory ambiguity acts as a constant drag. Industry participants are ready to build. Market infrastructure is ready to scale. Yet, lawmakers are stuck arguing over parameters instead of establishing clear statutory boundaries. Now, why does Senator Warner's vote carry so much weight for the Clarity Act? To understand why the single exchange shared by BankXRP caused such a stir, you have to look at the Senate math. The Clarity Act requires 60 votes to overcome a filibuster and clear the Senate floor. Even with Republicans holding a slim majority, passing this bill without Democratic crossover votes is statistically impossible. That makes moderate Democrats, specifically Senator Warner, the ultimate kingmakers of this bill. If Warner signals a yes, it creates a domino effect. It gives cover to other hesitant Democrats to step across the aisle and support market structure legislation. If he walks away frustrated, the entire bipartisan coalition collapses. Now, here's my opinion. The market is severely underestimating how fragile the 60-vote threshold really is. Crypto analysts often focus on the text of the bill itself, but in Washington, the math dictates the reality. Without key votes like Warner's, the Clarity Act isn't just delayed, it's essentially dead in the water for this legislative session. This brings us to the core issue stalling negotiations. Most Senate Democrats are not withholding support because they dislike XRP or oppose market rules. They are holding out over strict ethics provisions. Now, how do ethics rules and Trump's $1.4 billion disclosure factor in? The entire negotiation has hit a brick wall over one major sticking point, and that's the conflict of interest guardrails. Democrats are demanding enforceable rules that prevents the president, members of Congress, and their immediate families from holding or profiting from crypto assets while in office. The current draft of the Clarity Act simply does not include those provisions, and the White House has rejected adding them. This standoff intensified following a 927 page financial disclosure released by the Office of the Government Ethics, which revealed that President Trump earned roughly $1.4 billion in crypto-related income throughout 2025. Democrats immediately pointed to that $1.4 billion figure to justify their stance, refusing to advance the Clarity Act without explicit restrictions targeting executive crypto holdings. The tension escalated even further when Senator Elizabeth Warren publicly demanded that Trump voluntarily disclose his crypto earnings for the first half of 2026 by July 23. And now here's my opinion. Watching a historic piece of financial regulation get dragged into a political battle over personal financial disclosures is incredibly frustrating. The market structure for a multi-trillion-dollar asset class should be evaluated on its economic merit and consumer protections, not held hostage as leverage in a battle over political ethics. Because neither side is willing to blink on this ethics language, the entire bill remains frozen in place. And unfortunately for digital asset holders, time is the one luxury Congress does not have. So, is the window closing before the August Senate recess? The calendar is now the biggest enemy of the Clarity Act. The Senate is scheduled to break for its summer recess on August 11. That leaves an extremely narrow window for lawmakers to draft an ethics compromise, finalize committee language, and bring the bill to a full floor vote. If a deal isn't stuck before lawmakers leave Washington on August 11, the path forward becomes exponentially harder. Entering the second half of the year, legislative calendars get packed, political campaigning takes over, and complex financial bills routinely get pushed to the back burner. And now, here's my opinion. Watching this deadline approach feels like watching a slow-motion bottleneck. As a market observer, I know that if the Clarity Act doesn't cross the finish line before August 11, we could be looking at months, if not years, of continued reliance on regulatory enforcement actions rather than clear statutory rules. Senator Warner's remarks prove that a deal is still technically reachable because key lawmakers actively want to vote yes. However, wanting a deal and executing one are two entirely different things in a divided capital. And finally, here's our overall conclusion. The clash over the Clarity Act perfectly illustrates the broader reality facing digital assets today. On one side, industry leaders and market participants are desperate for clear rules that draw a firm line between commodities and securities. On the other side, Washington politics has turned a market structure bill into a battleground over ethics, political income, and executive transparency. Senator Mark Warner's comments, highlighted by BankXRP, serve as a stark reality check. The desire for a clear regulatory framework is undeniably there on both sides of the aisle. However, until lawmakers bridge the gap on ethics provisions, the Clarity Act will remain stuck in legislative limbo. For us, XRP holders, the key debate to watch is August 11. If leadership can hammer out bipartisan compromise before recess, it could unleash the long-awaited institutional green light for digital assets in the United States. If they fail, the industry will have to continue navigating the stormy waters of regulatory uncertainty. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching, and see ya on the next one, or you might just as well check this next recommended video right here.